Hello, everybody. Oh, it's been a minute. It has been definitely a minute. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. Let me adjust myself here. Oh my God. Here we go. Okay. Hello. Welcome back to another Scrollcast. As you can see, I don't know if I've upgraded or downgraded my audio options here, but Chris in Vancouver will tell me if he hears me better with the Bob Barker microphone. We had chatted about getting a new microphone from the old little Razor that I got, and the Bob Barker might work better. This is all fancily connected. It's got a real microphone connection, a real XLR to USB adapter, and by some miracle, I've set it up to work. Oh God. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm supposed to say today. It's been last recorded podcast was on the 18th, and I really apologize for that. It's been a bit of a wet and wild end of November, beginning of December. I've been full-time dadding it. By full-time, I mean all day, every day, except when she's at school, which is a new experience for me. I know there's a lot of single parents out there that do the all day, every day thing, especially a lot of moms that, dads run off and can't really think of a worse thing to do there are worse things to do, but you can't really think of a much worse thing to do as a guy than run out on your family. But I'm sorry, I'm adjusting to this full-time dad role. Not easy, man. It's I've added 7 hours of commuting to my week, and that's with my parents helping me on a couple of days to do the pickup and drop off from school, because obviously I don't live in the city. I live in the suburbs, and she goes to school smack downtown, and it's not exactly on the way to work. So it's a lot of back and forth, but we're getting there. We're doing it. It's been so a period of great upheaval and unrest in the life of the squirrel man. Mostly inside my own head. Mostly inside my own head. With the kid, adjusting to that. She's been great. She's been so well behaved at my house, but it's hard. It's a lot of extra things to think about in a day, like the meal times and the having to get her up in the morning, having to get myself out the door earlier in order to make everything work, to make the schedule work, because school cannot be missed, right? So it's a lot, and work has been crazy, of course. New new directions, adapting, trying to remain open to new visions of the way things should be done, learning. It's a lot of learning, a lot of being humble, trying to be humble. I think humility will go a long way here, but I tend to be very hard on myself. So a lot going on. Again, I really have no idea what I'm here to talk about. I suppose I'll talk about uh, trying to turn my brain off. It's been a wild couple of years. Having the world suddenly not stop, but let's say go on an extended, isolated pause. I don't think I fully appreciated the impact of that on me. I don't think I fully appreciated how kind of settled I would be into my own home and how hard I would find it to dislodge myself from it. I don't think I appreciated how set my life was before the pandemic, how the routine was learned, and then I unlearned everything. Like it's hard for me to want to get to go to the office. Not because I don't like the people I work with, but simply because I don't like sitting in traffic to get there and home. I like stress about the commute, but I used to commute 5 days a week. Now I'm only doing the office 2 days a week. Excuse me, I'm running on caffeine, cold meds, and halls right now. That's pretty much the recipe of chemicals that's keeping me vertical at the moment. You ever downed Buckley's with Red Bull? Try it sometimes. Memory gets a little foggy, but you feel better. And it is howling wind outside. Good Lord. Yeah, so I never really fully appreciated how much, how much I'd be affected by all this and where my life. I thought you sit in the house and you think everything is okay, and then you try to reintegrate into the world of people, and you realize that it's not comfortable. I'm finding it hard. I'm finding it like I like going out, but I find that not many people go out anymore. I find I isolated myself maybe a bit too much. I tried to stay in touch with people. Some people it was easier than others. Excuse me. I know you're saying, what are you doing right now recording a podcast if you're so busy dadding? I guess this is my way to kind of try and reintegrate into the world a little bit. My kiddo is at a birthday party right now. And if you can believe it, she's at a birthday party that we showed up, the fashionable 10 minutes after they told us to. So they told us to be there for 4, and we were there at 4:10 because, you don't want to show up at 4 and they're a little bit late or whatever. But we showed up at 4:10 and they weren't even home. We had to wait till 4:40 for somebody to be at the house. It was an interesting drop-off scenario. So that's why I'm here, biding my time until I have to go pick her up. So I figured I'd record a podcast, even though I had no idea what I was going to talk about. Where was I? Reintegrating into the world. It's not been particularly easy. I think I have friends that say that I'm a very almost obsessively scheduled person. I think that was of great help to me during the pandemic because things like doing my morning run or my morning workout, I'm very proud of myself. I didn't let that drop off. And I would still get up and I would go run outside because the gyms were closed, and I would go do a stupid little home workout or whatever because the gyms were closed. But like everything with me, I tend to start to build rituals around everything. And the rituals become obsessions, and the obsessions become difficult to manage. Because now it's like an obsessive person having to turn the lock 16 times, right? Exactly 16 times. You can't move on from your day until the thing is done. And I know that is the way it is with my workouts, with me thinking about work. Right now I'm running 12 to 16-hour days on average. I don't know if it's maintainable. I know I had a bit of a moment last week where I kind of, not a full-blown heart attack nervous breakdown, but like kind of one of those little scare nervous breakdowns, where you're just in the car going, I can't do this. Maybe we all have those moments. I don't know. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I got over it. I got through it. It's just one of those little couple of hours where you're like, I'm not sure if this is what I want from existence. This is not what was in the cards. We all make plans and God laughs, right? I mean, I'm lucky. Listen, I've got a roof over my head. My kid is physically healthy. My parents are still healthy. Um, I'm not scrambling or having to head to a food bank this Christmas to get a Christmas dinner for the family. So I should be pretty thankful. But it's taking a toll to keep it going, but that's life. You know, I'll be honest, I always felt like everything came to me too easily. You know, my father was extremely generous, uh, supportive. He still is. My mother was extremely supportive. She, did all the driving everywhere for activities and school. I had an easy life as a kid, and I would venture to say too easy, because I don't think I was ready for adulthood fully. I don't think I was fully grown up when I should have been. And so I felt like between the age of 30 and 40 that I've kind of had to pay the back taxes, the technical debt on life. There's been a lot of turmoil the last 10 years of my life. I won't go into the details, but let's just say there were some crazy situations. And I will say there were crazy situations. They were not tragedies. Tragedies is a whole other thing. But there were some crazy situations where, I had to face the firing line a few times and face some serious moments, some sobering moments, even though I was already sober. And I got through them. I did. But I think another thing that I'm realizing is that, and this was pointed out to me yesterday, I don't give myself a break. Like and I've admitted this, even at work, I have trouble turning off. I don't know how to disconnect. I think that's part of the rituals kind of thinking that I have, the ritualistic thinking, the obsession. I'm not obsessed over people. I'm obsessed over schedules. I'm obsessed over timing. I have a belief in a higher power, but what I'm worried about is that my true king above me is a clock. And that's terrifying, because I'm not learning to live in the moment. I'm learning to fear the moments because I have other moments coming up where other things have to be done. It's life, man. I mean, everybody has this. Everybody has this. Tell me a 40-year-old, well, there are some, a 40-year-old that doesn't have a job or family and or family requirements and or activities to manage and or other situations to deal with. Tell me a 40-year-old man that doesn't. I won't speak for anybody but 40-year-old men, because that's what I am. They all do, but I think they live in the moment better than I do. I live in fear of the future and in regret of the past, and that's not good. That's not to say that I'm not grateful. And the last few weeks, especially transitioning to being full-time dad temporarily or not, we're not sure yet, has put a certain strain on the system, right? Has put a certain pressure on an already strained. You know what I really can't get out of my head when I think about myself? I don't know if you guys watched Game of Thrones. I read the books before the show came out. And you have the king, Robert Baratheon. At the beginning of the first book or the first season of the TV show, you have Robert Baratheon, right? That's the Ned Stark's war buddy that, the beginning of the show or the book is that he travels up to where Ned Stark lives and invites him to be basically his chief counselor down in the capital of the kingdom. Now, I'm just giving you that backstory so you remember the character, but what George R. R. Martin, the author of the books, writes in the books is a brilliant way of describing people. Because the Baratheon brothers, there's three of them. There's Robert Baratheon, the eldest. That's the king. He has a brother, Stannis Baratheon, who is the middle brother. And he has a youngest brother, Renly Baratheon. Now, the way he describes him is the way he describes steel. Renly is brass. He's loving and affable. He's joyous and free-spirited and not particularly worried about anything. And he doesn't have the rigor to run a king. He wouldn't be a good king because he would be overwhelmed by it. Like, he doesn't have the constitution for it. Robert, well, we'll go with Stannis first, the middle brother. Stannis is iron. He is all rigor, all discipline, all business, no mercy. You know, his character throughout the book always is following the law to the letter. He's one of those guys. He's a military commander by rigor and a bureaucrat, and he's all those things, and he's generally viewed as extremely unpleasant to deal with, although no one will deny that he's fair. He always applies the letter of the law. He's iron because while his rigor is strong, pressure would destroy him because he wouldn't know how to adapt. He's unadaptable. He's unmoving. Robert, even though he's a terrible king in the books, he is probably the best combination of, he's seen as the steel. He's a good wartime commander. He's a terrible peacetime commander. He's a good wartime commander because he knows how to adapt to situations. And that's what helped him win his rebellion when he became king. A lot of backstory. A lot of caffeine. I feel like I'm Stannis. Life will throw changes, right? Life will always throw curveballs. There will always be something that comes up. There are very intelligent people, of which I do not count myself in their number. There are very intelligent people who see a lot of these curveballs as opportunities for home runs. You know, they adapt to the situation, they take advantage of it. With my brain, in its slow, pedantic way, and its general dislike of changes in environment, does not do well. I try to be adaptable. I try to be amenable. I think I'm okay at it, but it's through very hard work that I get there. Another way you could look at it without thinking about nerd books. Everybody else is a car. I'm a train, and I'm stuck on rails. Unless I go where the rails are going, which is my kind of obsessive thinking, there's going to be a derailment, and we know what derailments look like, right? Cars can turn, trains can't. They go where the rails take them. The good news is I'm realizing this for myself, right? I'm not, and I will not blame anybody else for my own difficulties in adaptation. That's life. I know that. But I won't hide the fact that it's not easy. I won't hide the fact that it's not what I would call fun. I think that's perhaps the gulf between me and serenity, I think, is finding the happiness and the acceptance in the change. In seeing the moment for the moment and the opportunity that it brings. And not thinking about all the things that are already in place. And being a little bit more yielding in my life. Man, this went in a weird direction. I'm sorry. Sorry if you listened to all that. I got serious. Maybe I needed to say it. That was live stream thinking into a Bob Barker microphone. And the bitch next to me just bet $1.